Hello everyone, welcome back to the Historian's Wardrobe channel. I'm Mariana, and I kind of took a week off. I'm really sorry. Life has been a little busy the last couple weeks, so 2 weeks ago I went to Tennessee for an extended weekend and had a girls trip with my best friend Jessie, and it was amazing. So I'm going to talk about that today, but I also then was finishing up my first project, making a wedding dress. I'm going to do a video on that next week so I can kind of talk about my process in designing and making my first wedding gown. And I based it off of vintage gowns, so that was kind of fun to get to play with that. And I made my new bonus mom's. I made her wedding dress. She married my dad this weekend, so it's been a really busy couple of weeks, but it's been good. And I've realized, a lot of things that I probably need to accept as a reality, I guess, of having a YouTube channel, because I want to make this something that I do as sort of like a bit of a job side gig kind of thing while I'm home with kids and going to school and all of that. So it's something I'd like to someday monetize. So I have to have consistency. And part of that is accepting that I'm not going to be able to be a superhuman and make a dress or an outfit every week. That's just not attainable, and I'd be okay with that. So sometimes it's just going to be talking about whatever I've been learning or thinking about. I'm filming, and you just have to sit at my feet. Is that what's going on? Minnie, you're in the way. Minnie. Oh, hello. Minnie, you're so disruptive.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I just did my makeup.
She already like erased.
So my original plan was to make this episode kind of my own version of a drunk fashion history, because Drunk History is a hilarious show, and if you've never seen it, then you have not lived. Drunk History, Derek Waters is a freaking genius, and so I kind of wanted to make my own version of that. And it's totally turned out to be a disaster. Jessie made jello shots. I gave her the recipe. They needed to be stronger. So we just ate a lot of jello. There will be future opportunities to fulfill my dream of doing a drunk fashion history, and I will successfully reach the intoxication level, I guess. It was shocking because I don't usually really drink, so I figured I could get drunk quickly, and that's not really what happened. So I went to Tennessee, and my mom and her love, they live in Franklin, to visit them. And my best friend of 16 years, Jessie, she came down to meet me, and she is a lovely person with a wonderful heart, and we have been best friends for a long time. She just gets me, and I am very thankful. If you don't have a Jessie in your life, go get you a Jessie, because she's awesome. So the first house that we went to is called the Carnton House, and I'm going to kind of show you some pictures while I talk about it. Or I couldn't take any video inside, but I took lots of pictures outside. But the Carnton House, if you ever go to Franklin, Tennessee, it is a must-see. There's a fantastic tour. They talk about the Battle of Franklin that took place at the property of Carnton House, because the property was kind of matched up with another house that's in town called the Carter House. And the Carter House is also a fantastic tour. I've been on that before. And so if you go to Franklin, I definitely suggest Carnton House and Carter House. Okay, the next fabulous tour that we went on, it was really special because we actually got to be the only two people on the tour with the tour guide. So for me, as a total history nut, I got to ask a million questions. I love asking questions. I'm that annoying person on tours that has all the questions. And honestly, not to toot my own horn, but I ask good questions. The house that we went to next, that I really enjoy. I've done this tour before with my mom. The Traveler's Rest farm, I guess, but they also, it is technically a plantation, I think, but I think they try to stray away from that word for understandable reasons. The Traveler's Rest farm was a part of the Battle of Nashville. So the house, I believe, was built in 1790, and so it would have been like the Regency period. So that's kind of fun to think. So when you think time-wise, when the judge that built Traveler's Rest, when he built it, it was the same time period as Jane Austen. Ooh, so my favorite aspect of Traveler's Rest is that the lady of the house was 6 feet tall. That's right. This 6'2" woman right here can identify and respect that she was 6 feet tall, a woman in the 1790s and the 1800s, and she wasn't in a freak show. There weren't many of us Amazons out there. So Traveler's Rest, one of the other aspects that I love about it is that they have a really cool herb garden, and they even were like, you know, there's a ton of herbs, so pick some if you want. One of my favorite parts of the trip was when Jesse and I actually went to Belmont Mansion. And Belmont Mansion is at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. It was such a cool tour, y'all. Like, it was so interesting. There was so much stuff to look at because if you know the style of the Victorians, they loved to cover everything with some sort of decoration. So there wasn't a whole lot of empty space for the Victorians. So the Belmont Mansion was absolutely stunning. Though it was super busy, there was a lot to look at, and there was some really interesting rooms and stuff that they had made. And at one point the building or the house had been a dorm, but they brought it back to its former glory, and it's a museum now. So if you ever get a chance to go to Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee, I strongly suggest checking out Belmont Mansion. There's this one area, it's a gallery, where the stairs are, and I actually had a super embarrassing moment, but actually, I guess it could have been super embarrassing, but I think I handled it okay. And I was with Jessie, and she always makes everything fun, so it was fine. But in the gallery, there was this really cool staircase and the black and white painted floor, the checkered floor, and I totally felt like Titanic vibes from the place. Well, then I was walking down the steps and I was filming because I was like, oh, these steps are so cool, and I'm such a nerd and I like old things. And well, who doesn't film themselves walking down historic steps that ladies in fabulous dresses walk down? Who doesn't do that? So I'm filming like a doofus, and I'm walking down the steps, and I get to the last step because there's this little landing, and it's a half a step. Well, I totally fall, and leading into this, so I'm getting to the steps, and I'm near the last step, and Jessie is at the bottom because I'm where's Jack? Because I feel like I'm on the Titanic, and she's standing at the bottom of the steps with her arm reached out, and I was just oh my god. It was so dorky and fun. And there's like a group of people that are doing a tour in the gallery. And as I'm walking down the steps, I go to reach for her hand, and then I totally fall on this last little landing, this damn half step. Ah, it's so scary. It makes me feel like I'm on the Titanic, though. Makes me feel like I'm on the Titanic, though. Where's Jack? Oh my god! Are you okay? Yeah, I just didn't see that last sentence. It's this thing. It goes into the house part, yeah. I didn't see it. It was like super dramatic and loud. I'm sure it was quite an entertaining scene for those people. If you are new to this channel, I am so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me. I do my best to post every Wednesday, depending on how life goes. Sometimes life gets in the way, and that's okay. If you have been with me on this channel before, I'm so glad that you're back. I love you. Thank you so much for your support. We'll see y'all next time. Bye!